All right, it's great to be with you guys on this Friday evening. Hope everyone is doing well. I've been sitting here as always, reading the comments in the waiting room before we get in here, and sometimes, to be honest with you, I almost have just as much fun sitting and reading your all's comments before we get rolling. So, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Friday to stop in and hang out for a while. We always just have loose shows on here. They're always relaxed, and we just sit here and talk for a little while about the crazy world that is going on around us. Right now, we have Kamala Harris continuing to do everything right, and we have Donald Trump continuing to do everything wrong and just completely spiral out of control. And I tell you what, making videos this week, um, I see Trump every day, because I'm always looking for things to talk about and react to. And then I'm sitting there in the editing process, editing my videos, and I keep hearing his voice over and over. And I can tell you that I've noticed his voice has really started to change over the last couple of weeks. He sounds more frantic to me in his speech, and he sounds more slurred, sounds more kind of frantic, but yet tired at the same time and worn. He just seems to be all over the place. And yeah, someone just said his voice is so rough. I agree. And you can really tell the difference if you go back and watch clips from weeks ago, because sometimes I will catch myself going back to look at other clips that I bookmarked and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, he sounded a lot different a couple of weeks ago. So it's funny to me how that we spent so much time, or we didn't, but the MAGA spent so much time talking about Joe Biden and his cognitive decline, and then yet when Trump is clearly having moments and just spiraling like a maniac, no one's calling it out. They're just sitting back and letting this guy train wreck. And the slurring and the not being able to understand him, and just the incoherent rants about things that no one can really make any sense of. He's definitely spiraling, and Kamala just continues to do everything right. But really wanted to start off the show by talking about the the hurricanes. I hope everyone out there is doing okay with all of that. I know that there's been a whole lot of devastation here on the East Coast. A lot of people lost their lives, lost their businesses, lost their family members and loved ones, and just hope everyone is doing good. For those of you here in East Tennessee, there's the East Tennessee Foundation. That's a good place to donate to help out. Just try to find ways and places to help out and help your neighbor during these times. And, when this whole thing is over, once we get past the election, and I've talked so much on the channel about we're going to have to pick up the pieces once we're done. I really feel like that we're going to look back at this election, and we're going to remember so much about it. We're going to remember how that, I could name a bunch of things I'll remember. For example, I will always remember how that people kept saying that Kamala needed to explain herself more. And I'm always saying Trump has never explained himself. I've never heard the guy give an explanation for anything that made sense. I'll always remember the standard that they held her to, and then the standard they didn't hold him to. But I'm also going to remember the reactions to these hurricanes and the things that they've been saying, and the way that Donald Trump and MAGA has just absolutely found a way to politicize this. That's what it has become. They just decided to play politics with it. And, every day when we're sitting here, making content and talking about them, we point out the obvious, and we bring the receipts, and we call them for what they are. Some people says we need to turn the temperature down. I don't think so. I think we need to keep pointing it out and calling it out at all cost. But we point these things out, and you would think that would give them a reason to go, well, you know what? Everyone out there says that we're cruel. Everyone out there says that we're, racist and homophobic. And everyone out there says that we're a threat to democracy. And everyone out there says that we, don't believe in the two-party system. Now is our chance to show them that they're wrong. And we're going to come together and say, hey, these hurricanes are devastating the East Coast, and we just want to come together and reach across the aisle. This isn't about politics. This isn't about the election. This is about the American people. You would think that maybe, just maybe, they would try that, or try something a little bit different, change their approach ever so slightly, but they won't. Trump just continues to double down and hammer down. And as someone who has studied politics literally my entire life, I just do not understand that strategy at all, because he's already lost the popular vote twice. He could just be depending on the electoral college, and he could just be depending on getting people in there that will be loyal to him and create a bunch of chaos. That's all he can be doing, because he's definitely not trying to win over the people who are still sitting on the fence. And I've said so many times here on the channel that I don't know how anyone could be on the fence at this point in the game, but there's still people that are. And you would think that those are the people that he would want to win back over. You would also think that he would want to maybe bring people back into the fold that he lost. But he's just the type of person like, well, good riddance. See you later. So he's not doing anything at all to bring people in. And this would have been his moment right here to really, he's not going to change our mind. It wouldn't matter. I wouldn't care if he walked on water tomorrow personally. But it would have been a good moment for him to prove a lot of the critics wrong and say, you know what, I'm going to set politics aside here and show people that when it comes to these hurricanes, I won't play politics. But he couldn't do it. And this was happening in red states. You would think that because he's always been a guy that drew a line in the sand. He's always been someone who has said, he would let California burn to the ground because he disagrees with Gavin Newsom. So you would think, since it's red states, that he's more than likely going to win, that he would want to do something to make the people realize that he was on their side, but he's not. He just absolutely continues to double down. And the rhetoric and the BS that they're spreading right now about these hurricanes will literally sit and make you scratch your head. They want to talk about how the biggest one that we got to talk about is they want to talk about how that Democrats are controlling the weather. They believe that Democrats are the ones who are creating these storms. Now, these are the same people who in the past has told us that God sends hurricanes on people that he doesn't like and people they don't like. I actually should have said it that way. People that they don't like and prefer. So they've always said that God was punishing people by sending hurricanes and sending the weather. Now they're saying it's Democrats controlling the weather. My question is, if they really do believe that Democrats have that kind of power, are they saying that we are so strong that we can take away the control of the weather over God Almighty? Do they really believe that we have more power than God? I mean, if they believe that, they might as well vote Democrat if they think we're that strong. I mean, if we're these people that can go out there and we can create hurricanes and we can control them and we can go out there and rig every election, I mean, it's just so ridiculous that they go to that talking point that we are controlling the weather. And I went on Marjorie Taylor Greene's Twitter. If you ever want to see a dumpster fire, just check that out. I went on there and she was sharing the clip of Lyndon Johnson where she was talking about, where he was talking about those who control the weather. And what he was referring to was the satellites that we were getting back then and how that we would be able to see what was going on. He wasn't talking about creating a hurricane and sicking it on people that they didn't like. That's not what he was talking about at all. But of course, that didn't stop her from just continuing to spread it around. And it's so funny when they create these conspiracy theories, the straws they will grab and catch on and go, hey, look, this right here is this right here is exhibit A. This right here is proof. And I'm like, no, but Johnson did say, because those who control the weather will rule the world. But he was talking about science. He was talking about knowing when a storm was coming. He was talking about being prepared for a storm. He was not talking about creating a hurricane. But if they think that we have that kind of power, then how could they also say that God has the power to send the hurricanes? Because that tells me they don't really have a whole lot of faith in their God. If they believe a group of Democrats could somehow wrestle away the power from him. So it's so ridiculous, the stuff that they've been spreading around. And they picked a moment where so many in America was vulnerable. They picked a moment where so many had lost their homes and businesses and loved ones, and that's the moment they decided to politicize. And it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to grab this comment right here. This is Michelle says, look, if they want to drink raw milk, let them. I never thought in my wildest dreams, I did not have it on my bingo card, that we would be talking about, hey, guys, don't drink raw milk. I never thought that we would be there at this point. But it's as though we're having another one of those. It's as though we're having another one of those ivermectin moments, and right here, Feather Life. Raw milk is extremely dangerous. Take it from a farm girl. Absolutely. I live not far at all from a dairy farm here in Tennessee. It's just so ridiculous. So ridiculous that they would say something like this. It's absolutely insane that they would spread that around. And it's so crazy to me how all they have to do is just say something that off the wall, and there's people out there that will buy into it. But I sometimes question just how many of them really do, how many of them are really committed. You know, how many of them out there are really drinking a glass of raw milk tonight? It would be interesting to see how much they really believe in it. But we've always made the joke about them drinking the Kool-Aid, and now here we are. They're drinking raw milk. It's absolutely, like I said, I just never thought that we would ever be here at this point in American history. I never thought that that we would be doing this. At the moment, while I'm looking away, I'm just sharing this over to the other platforms so people will realize that we're here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and being with us. Share this. We're got over 900 in the house, so we'll try to get us over 1,000 at one point if we can. I went live this past Thursday. Let's see. When did I do that? You guys probably remember. See here, and what's funny, we talked about that on the show. I guess that was yesterday. But anyway, we talk about how that I can't remember when I've done things. But we went live here on the channel at noon, and we had a good time. We had a good crowd. I think we had over 900 in the house at noon. And so I'm going to be going noon this coming Tuesday. So be sure to tune in for that. I'll be going live at noon this coming Tuesday, and we will see how it goes with a noon show, so that those of you that have a lunch break or just sitting around and you've got some time at home, or maybe that's just when you're home, you'll have a chance to check them out. And be sure to tune in this coming Tuesday, and we will go live again here on the channel. I always have a great time talking with you guys and shooting the breeze. I am working on scheduling some guests, and I am talking. I'm not going to say it till I've got it in stone. I hate when I say something's going to happen and then something gets in the way, because everyone's schedules is so out there these days. It's hard to get people on the same page. But to let you guys know, I am talking with some people that you've been requesting, and hopefully we can make the stars align and they can be here on the show with me. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to having more guests here on the show, and maybe if we keep doing the noon shows, then maybe we can have some guests pop up there, because there's been a couple of people who I've wanted to have come on the 9 o'clock show on Friday, and there's been several times that they was like, well, I can't because I work at that time or whatever, or I'm busy that day. So maybe doing a show in the middle of the day from time to time will help bring in people that aren't able to come on the Friday night show. But again, thank you guys so much for being here with me. I was just sharing it and getting it out there. And we always have a good time here on the channel. As we was talking before that little plug, we was talking about, how that they've politicized the hurricanes and all the ridiculous conspiracy theories. And we was talking about raw milk. And it definitely reminds me of the whole, ivermectin thing that they did back then. That was just so crazy and over the top. But it is truly disturbing just how they can say something and people will latch onto it like it's gospel. It truly is disturbing. But another thing that's disturbing to me is that Trump always finds a way to blame it on immigrants. He always finds a way to demonize them. And folks, he is absolutely just doubling down on all of the hateful rhetoric. It's unbelievable just how low he's going with it and spreading around other lies. I mean, we could say misinformation, but let's be realistic. It's lies. Spreading lies that we're helping immigrants crossing the border before we are our own at the hurricane. It's just so crazy. But he always finds a way to demonize everyone around him, and it's just absolutely ridiculous to me that he's still in the game and he's still a guy who's still out there as a contender. I said that in one of my videos today, how that it just truly baffled me that the dude is even a contender still, that he's still here hanging on at this point in the game. It's absolutely ridiculous that he would even still be mentioned. I mean, this guy now has ran for president 3 times. I'm going to do something I've not done on a live here, so y'all bear with me, and I hope I can pull this off. But I just want to give you an idea of just how ridiculous and bizarre Trump is getting with this whole thing when it comes to migrants, and just the fact that he's absolutely going on the attack every which way that he can. I'm going to go over here just for a second. I'm not going to sit and read to you, but I do want to show you just some headlines uh, that in any other era would disqualify somebody, or in any other era, no one would want to be part of this mess. But let's take a look, folks, at these headlines right here from Midas Touch. This is just, if you just read the headlines here of what Trump is doing, look here. Trump uses fake AI image to attack migrant students. Twitter mocks JD Vance's blundering Facebook Live moment. Then look here. Trump attacks Philadelphia kindergarten as non-English speaking migrants. Every other thing that you read here is absolutely him finding a way. Trump still attacking Pence for not overturning the election. I mean, he's on the attack. He's not doing anything whatsoever. He's not doing anything whatsoever to win anybody over. He's just always on the attack, and he's attacking migrants and attacking anyone who disagrees with him. A while ago, I saw a comment on Facebook from a guy that I went to school with, and we've always got along in the past, but we just don't see politics at all the same way. And he was talking about how that Trump had his back. And I'm sorry, but in what world could anyone honestly believe that Donald Trump has their back? In what world could they ever think that? Because we have seen Donald Trump so many times, like Mike Pence. When Mike Pence didn't do what Donald Trump wanted, he threw him to the curb and sent a mob after him. So I truly don't understand how anyone out there can honestly believe that he would have their back when everyone that ever worked with Trump has said he doesn't know what he's doing. It's an absolute and total clusterfuck when he's trying to, to govern. He doesn't know how the system works. We hit 1,000, folks. I had to stop real quick and acknowledge that we have hit 1,000 viewers. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. But anybody that turns on him, or not turns on him, just anybody that can't go along with the rhetoric he wants to go along with, and the ones that just call him out, they immediately get labeled as rhinos. They immediately get labeled as the worst, and he turns on them. So how anyone can think that he has their back when he's always on the attack, that's something I'll never understand. I'll never understand that way of thinking, especially coming from anyone in this part of the world, in the tax bracket that they're in. I'll just never understand why they would think that he has their back, because we all know he would throw them under the bus in a minute. And for all the ones that are sitting back right now and going, we don't care about him saying he wants to be a dictator on day one. We don't care about him saying he wants to terminate the Constitution. Do they not realize that once he has that kind of power with no guardrails, he won't need them anymore? Has anyone ever been able to get that point across to him? That's when they're going to wake up and realize just how right so many of us were. But hopefully it'll never come to that point, because come November 5th, we're going to vote him down once and for all. And this will be the third time we've had to sit through an election night with him. And so I've had several people ask me if I'm going to be going live on election night. I probably won't, in all honesty, unless they end up calling it pretty quick for Kamala. Then I may pop up. But I'm actually early voting this year. First time I've ever done that. But I'm going to do so because I just want it. I want to go ahead and get my vote in and be home on election day and just sit back and take it in. So I probably won't go live that night for that reason. I just want to be here. You know what I mean? Unless, like I said, if they call it for pretty quick, if it becomes a landslide that I think it could become. I've had a lot of people ask me, to make predictions, and I suck at that. I hate making those kind of predictions because you just never know what could go sideways. But I'm really hoping that we have a blowout, and I think we could have one. I saw a comment. I'll never be able to find it back. But I did see a comment from somebody. I'm going to grab this one again from Michelle. How is this election close? I don't know. I don't know how any of them were close. I really don't. I don't know how the guy ever was considered a contender. Now I don't know exactly where I was going with that thought. But I will say that I'm very influenced by Hunter S. Thompson and the stream of consciousness. So just wherever it takes me is where I'll land. But yeah. Well, yeah, I was talking about that I was going to vote early, and I was talking about how that I don't like I don't like making predictions, but no, I know what it was. There was a person in the comment section when I was looking around before the show started. That person said, the media is lying about Kamala surging and Trump spiraling. The media is lying about that. Well, I'd like to flip the script on that person. I doubt they're probably still here, but if you are, what I would like to ask you is this: could it be the other way around? Could it be that the media is keeping Donald Trump alive just to keep people watching? Because he does equal ratings. He definitely will get you an audience if you talk about him. So if they create the illusion that it's close, and they create the illusion that he's still in there, then people are going to keep tuning in and watching. And I think when they do that, they do a disservice when they sit and say, "Oh, it's close, it's so close," because if Kamala ends up blowing him completely out of the water in a landslide, then MAGA is going to have more fuel to go on by going, well, even CNN was saying that wasn't possible. Even CNN was saying, even MSNBC was saying it was close. So I don't think they really do it a service if that's what they're doing when they. But I believe it is for the ones like, well, the fake news is saying she's ahead. No, I think if it's fake news, they're keeping him relevant. They're keeping him in the game. I really believe that. I believe he's a guy that they realize equals ratings, and they'll just keep creating the illusion that he's there. I saw where someone said, "I voted." How many of you have voted already? I think if I ain't mistaken, I'm terrible with dates, by the way. My friends knows that about me for sure. But early voting in Tennessee, I'm pretty sure starts on the 15th or 16th. So let me make sure. I want to tell everybody that early voting in Tennessee. I'm pretty sure it's the 15th. Yeah, 16th. I was close. So yeah, the 16th, which is next. What is that? 16th is next Wednesday. So you can start voting here in Tennessee on the 16th through the 31st. I will definitely be there with bells on to do that. So we're closing in on 1,200. We got 1,159 in the house at the moment. Thank you guys so much for being here. But how many of you have already voted? I would like to know that. I saw where Jennifer Lynn said I vote in person. I always have. Always did it on election day. Thank you, Sally, for gifting those memberships. I really appreciate that. I've always done it on election day, but this is just one of those times where I'm a ball of nerves and I just want to get my vote in. Someone said voted Kentucky absentee. Texas early voting has already started. Cool. All right. Can't vote in Oklahoma until October 30th. Okay. That's interesting. It's almost not early in a way. It's barely early. But yeah, my mom and dad aren't in the best of health, so they've already got their absentee ballots. They're already ready to go. And I'm very fortunate in that department. That I'm lucky to have two progressive parents. I tell you, if I had to be around my parents, my heart goes out to those of you that I hear from people all the time, listeners who will be like, "Man, my mom or my brother or my cousin or my mama or whatever." I can't say mama anymore without thinking of JD Vance. He's kind of ruined that word, but I don't know. I don't know what it would be like if I had to wake up. Me and my parents get along great, but I can't imagine what it would be like if they was trying to convince me to change my evil ways and vote Trump. I don't think I could do it. But yeah, I see a lot of people saying they're voting in person. That's awesome. That's how I've always done it. That's how it should be to me. That's how I feel comfortable doing it. But this year, I just wanted to go ahead and get it in there. So yeah, we're at 1193, folks. We're 7 people away from hitting 2,000. And really appreciate you guys so much for taking time out of your Friday night. We're about to hit it, 1199. So, yeah, when we hit 2,000, I'm going to do an update, let you guys know. Here we go, 2006, great. Or 1,206, I mean. Yeah, now that we've got 1,206 people in the house, we'll say this. I'll be going live this coming Tuesday at noon again. So if you guys are busy tonight and you're just kind of catching a moment of it, you know that you can tune in on Tuesday at noon. We're going to try out some noon shows. I may do like Tuesday and Thursday just for a little while to see how they go. Really enjoy that. And to all you that are members here on YouTube, members only, I will be going live this Sunday at 7. I'm going to attempt to get back to singing. So we'll see how that goes. And if all goes well, then this coming Friday, I will go live on Patreon, and or next Friday, I mean, I will go live on Patreon, and we will do some music over there. So I'm getting back in the swing of things with the music. And yeah, I thank you guys for supporting what it is that I do, and hope everyone's having a good day. But yeah, 3 a.m. here. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's the thing. Like when I did the show at noon, I had people from different time zones watching that hadn't been there before. There was some that was like, "Hey, I'm finally getting to catch you." So it'll work out for a little bit for everybody, and so I'm looking forward to trying those on for size, just seeing how they work. But I'll tell you one thing I've been excited about, and I definitely wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's noon Eastern time. My bad. That is Eastern time. But one thing I wanted to talk about was it's really good to see Obama out there speaking for Kamala Harris and campaigning for her. He was out there with Liz Cheney, and that's just, I don't know if people realize just how really historic that is, that we have a staunch Republican like Liz Cheney out there standing beside Obama. If that doesn't tell you how extreme Donald Trump has gotten, I don't know what would. But I just thought Obama's been absolutely crushing it, and it definitely gives me 2008 vibes. This whole election really does, and that's why that I'm thinking we could see a landslide. But I've missed Obama too, and I'm really glad to see him back in the saddle and out there, because he's just one of the greatest. He's one of the greatest talkers of our generation. Someone who can really captivate an audience and just such an eloquent speaker. I'll tell you, to be honest with you, when Trump first got into office, the biggest reason why, other than I knew he would be a disaster, I knew Trump wouldn't be worth anything, but like the biggest reason I didn't want Donald Trump to become president is because I didn't want him to follow Obama. I didn't want the history books to be that we elected the first black president and then came over here and elected such a terrible person. And I knew that he would ride the coattail of Donald. I knew Trump would ride the coattail of Obama, and he would take credit for everything. And that's exactly what he did. When people sits back and says, "Oh, 2017 was pretty good," I'm so glad that in that speech, Obama brought the receipt and said, "Hey, the reason it was good is because it was my economy." I handed that to him after I got done cleaning up the mess the previous Republican administration left. That's exactly what happened. And I was just so glad to see Obama take credit for that and flex, because he's a pretty, modest dude most of the time. He's more laid back and things, but I was really glad to see him just be straightforward with it, like, hey, that was mine. You're going to take credit for something I did. But we're seeing Obama out there. We're seeing Liz Cheney. We're seeing other Republicans out there speaking for Kamala Harris. And, when it comes to like my grandfathers who were both Republicans, the biggest part of me would hope that if they were still alive today, they would be someone that Trump would be calling a rhino. But I'll be honest with you, I have so many people around here. One of my biggest pet peeves is when someone says, "Yeah, my granddaddy'd roll over in his grave if he knew I was voting for a Democrat." I don't care if my granddad does a couple of moonsaults in his, because we're here now, and Donald Trump isn't a Republican. He's an extreme far right radical version of it, and I don't care. And here's the thing: even if my grandfathers both came back from the grave right now, plopped down on each side of me, and went, "Boy, you're wrong. That Trump's the best thing that happened," I'm like, "Hey guys, sorry, I disagree. I don't believe in going along with something just because your mama and papa's generation did it. That's never made sense to me. I've that whole, well, my papa would have never wanted me to do this. I can't do that because Mama would be disappointed. Mama's not here. I'm not trying to be cold-hearted. I'm just being realistic. Mama's not here. We're in a completely different world. Our daughters don't have the rights that Mama had years ago. So it's time that we get the rights back for the women. We get Roe versus Wade back in place. We get this country back on track, and we just vote down bigotry, And yeah, I mean, if my grandfathers were still alive today and supporting Donald Trump and being bigots, I would be calling them out here on the channel. I'd be saying, I got two asshole papaws. It wouldn't stop me from saying it. So I don't know. That's always been one of my biggest pet peeves is this idea that, well, it's tradition that we vote Republican. Tradition is a dead man's baggage. Okay, so you don't have to carry it around. There's no reason that you have to carry it. And so yeah. Now my grandmother, I saw Michelle said that her grandparents were Democrats. Um, my grandmother on my mom's side was a Democrat, the one that nicknamed me Brando. She hardly ever called me Brandon. If she said Brandon, I knew something was wrong. Like I knew I was either in trouble or she was about to give me bad news. But yeah, she was progressive, and I missed the hell out of her. And she actually did. My grandmother actually did live to absentee vote for Obama, and she died. She voted for him that November, or might have done it in early voting with the ballot she got while she was in the hospital, and she died in December. So she did go to her grave knowing we had the first black president, and she was progressive her whole life. So I was really glad that she did get the news and knew that before she left. But yeah, it's when I think about that whole idea that my grandparents did it, so I got to do it. Again, your grandparents ain't here, and again, it's not me trying to be cold hearted. It's just realistic. And I know that like I said, both my grandfathers were Republicans, but I also know that they were people that believed in calling it like they seen it. So I know at least I'm doing that much that they would have did. Yeah, someone just said, did my friends call me Brando? Yeah, a whole bunch did. But really, my grandmother that we called Nana, she's the one that started it. I was always Brando, and then it just certain friends called me that, and it just sort of kept going. And then when I got into playing music, people outside my part of the world always had trouble pronouncing my last name, so they would end up calling me Brando. And I don't know, like right when everything started blowing up for me on TikTok first is the platform I first blew up on. I still just had my music page on there, and it started blowing up with all this political content. And I was like, well, I'm going to change my handle on TikTok, to something else. And I thought I'll just be Brando. And so I just put Brando. And when I did, it said that name is taken. And I was like, of course it is. So then I just put a T in and an underscore. Really, in my mind, it was just like, I'm Brando. I'm in Tennessee. That's really all I was thinking. And so I did that. And then Superman Todd, who I've had on the channel several times, Superman Todd stitched one of my videos. Like, hey, guys, like if you ain't followed Tennessee Brando yet, be sure to do so. And then other people started popping up and calling me that. And I was like, okay, we'll just roll with that. So that's really where it came from. It started off as like a nickname from my grandmother because she loved Marlon Brando so much. I remember her and I watching A Streetcar Named Desire, and on the waterfront. I think we watched a little bit of The Godfather, but she didn't really like shows that got violent like that. So, but I do remember one of my favorite moments of Marlon Brando's acting is when he's like, "It was you, Charlie. You're the one that should have looked after me. You should have protected me." That's one of my favorite scenes of all time from on the waterfront. And that was old Rod Steiger in there with him. I'm a sucker for those old movies like that. I'm absolutely a sucker for those. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys so much for being here. We crossed over 1,200. I think I slipped up and said 2,000 a while ago, but we may get to 2,000 eventually. But we're at 1,200, and that's awesome. So I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to join in. Another thing I was going to talk about, I never write down what I'm going to say. Like I don't have a script in front of me. Obviously, I'm just flying off the seat of my pants, but I'll have some talking points that I want to hit on. One thing I want to hit on, and it kind of ties in with the whole raw milk BS, it's who that Donald Trump is willing to turn the microphone over to. He will turn over the microphone to anyone who flatters him, and that's dangerous. He's a guy who's out there praising dictators, and he's praising them because they're praising him. He doesn't realize that they're playing him. They're doing this to flatter him so that they can get their way with him. They see how fragile he truly is, but he doesn't. He doesn't understand that he's being played. He thinks that they're looking at him like he's a strong man. They're not. They're flattering him so they can play him. But he will sit back and he will let anyone into the fold. And you had the guy up there, I can't remember his name. I'll be honest with you, folks. Like when I did the video where I shared the clip from this guy, I was like, I don't even really care if I say his name. I mean, it's just I don't even know if I want to even give him that much of a notice. But it's like, the guy that was up there going, "We will protect your raw milk." It's like he'll turn the microphone over to anybody that praises him. It's absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And then you had this week you had Elon Musk up there jumping around and became a meme doing his ridiculous jump, and will turn over the platform to someone like an Elon Musk, who's on the way right now to being the first trillionaire. And there are people out there who will defend Elon Musk. Me and Superman Todd, we have a lot of good conversations back and forth in voice messages. I've always told him one day I'll just save. I've got them all saved. One of these days we'll just release a whole podcast. It'll just be nothing but us going back and forth in voice messages. But he was telling me how that he made a post about Taylor Swift donating to the hurricane victims, and how that if Elon Musk wanted to match her generosity, this is how much money he would have to spend based on how much money he has. And you had people in Kentucky coming to the defense of Elon Musk and saying, "Oh, Elon's a good dude," and it's just like so over the top ridiculous that there are people who, it's like, is that the new phase? Is that where we're headed? That we're gonna just is Trump not going to be the end of this fascination with like millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires? Is it going to be that once he's gone, they'll latch on to someone like Elon Musk and just try to live vicariously through them? I don't know. It's really interesting, and it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes when Trump is over. Because I will just never, I will never understand it. So yeah, I don't know. Someone said son of a Trump. I don't know what they're referring to exactly, but I really don't think that any of Trump's sons have a career in politics ahead of them, unless it might be Barron, but I'm not sure about that either. That was kind of spooky, the way that the MAGA cult just started latching on to Barron, and we ain't even really heard him say 2 words yet. But they were latching on to him and pushing him to the moon, or trying to. But yeah, I don't understand this whole thing. Yeah, someone said Elon Musk is an immigrant. Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be the next trend as to where we go. Are they going to start supporting people like that next? It's pretty crazy. Did Trump misspell Barron's name? I'm surprised he can spell his own. I mean, have you ever seen his signature? It's just a bunch of, it looks like that's ridiculous. Everything about the dude is ridiculous. And I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but Trump on that guy, Andrew Schultz's podcast, I wasn't familiar with that guy. I didn't know who he was. But that dude was literally just laughing and poking fun at Trump. And there was one part where he was like, "So you don't drink or do drugs?" And Trump's like, "No, and I've always told my kids don't drink and do drugs." And the host like joked and was like, "Oh, did you tell Don Jr. that?" And he was like, "Oh, well, no, Don Jr. is kind of wild." They were literally just sitting there having a field day with him. And I think he was starting to catch on. I really do. I think he was starting to catch on that they were kind of poking fun at him, because he was starting to get that deer in headlights look he gets. But yeah. And what's funny, in one of my videos recently, I said, Marjorie Taylor Greene's kind of been laying low because they got Laura Loomer and all these other morons out there. And I was like, so Marge has kind of been laying low. And buddy, when she came up, when she got a chance to speak, it was raw milk. I mean, oh, she's so crazy. She's so crazy. Someone said, wasn't Don Jr. a cokehead? I've played in plenty of dive bars in my time, and I definitely know the look. And I mean, that's all I'm going to say. I mean, I think if I was hanging out in the bar, I might think that he was the guy that could get it for you. But yeah, it's just I don't really see any of his sons having a political career, really, even Barron to a degree, unless I don't know. But I think we could very well see him go on to someone like an Elon or whoever's next. And it's just crazy to me that people would look up to someone like that. It's absolutely crazy. But again, I hope everyone is doing well. I want to thank everyone who has came on here. We've came close to hitting 1,300. We're 12 away from it. But yeah, I want to real quickly. Let me do this. I've not done this before. I want to thank. So Carol gifted 5 memberships. The Vol Queen gifted 10. Greg gifted 10. Or no, Greg became a member for 10 months. Awesome. And then we have new member Elby. Jeanette gifted 5. Independent became a new member. I want to say thanks to the dude for the $3 tip. Thanks to Donna for the tip, and thanks to Mercy, the progressive boomer. Thanks to Kim for the tip. Sally S gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Billy Stillman became a new member, and Shan Lee, thank you for your tip. I've figured out how to find all of my starred comments. Took me a year to figure out where they were, but there they are. So yeah, thank you guys so much for gifting the memberships, and thank you all for your tips. Thanks for being here with us. I really appreciate it. This Sunday, as long as my voice holds out, I'm just gonna go ahead and dive in this Sunday. Members only at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We'll play some music here and see how it goes. You guys are understanding, and we're always lax and laid back on the show. So if I end up losing my voice halfway through it, we'll call it a day. But I think I'm going to be okay. I've definitely sang 4-hour shows before with my voice sounding a lot worse than this. I want to thank y'all so much for your well wishes and checking in on me. I didn't have COVID. I didn't have the flu. I didn't have strep throat, nothing like that. They thought I just had a really bad sinus infection. But man, was it ever one that just whipped the dog shit out of me. It really did. It felt like the flu. I'll be honest with you. When I was tested for COVID twice. Both times I was kind of sweating bullets about it. And the flu test, I was like, it's got to be the flu. But it wasn't. And luckily my antibiotics are doing their job, and everything's starting to break up. And so we're doing good. But someone said that they're exhausted from Trump. Man, I am too. It truly does get exhausting, and it gets pretty heavy, to be honest with you, talking about it every day. That's just what I do now full time. I ain't complaining because I enjoy doing it. I said in the beginning, it's the hill I'm willing to die on. But dang, was he ever? He's absolutely wore us out. And thanks to Kate, thank you so much. Yeah, he's just absolutely wore us all down. And I think the most tiresome part of the whole thing is the fact that we have to continuously point and say, hey, did you guys see what he did? And it reminds me, honestly, of like we've all had to have had that family member that was in a really abusive relationship, and you just kept trying to point and say, hey, can't you see what's happening with your own eyes? I mean, it feels like we've been locked into that ever since he came down that escalator. It's like it's never went away. It's never changed. He's never gotten better. And like I said, he's never tried to change it up or clean up his image. That's the funny thing, too. There have been people that has done so much, like they've done way less than Trump. There has been people that have just made little minor mistakes compared to Trump, and they will come out and try to clean up their image. It's ridiculous that they'll come out and try to clean it up. Want to say thanks to Tova, just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much. It's just crazy. I remember Howard Dean. I always bring this up because Howard Dean just screamed at a rally trying to get his voters excited and ready to vote in the next primary. And they said he lacked the temperament to be president. I remember him coming out and trying to kind of tone it down. And John Kerry one time dropped an F-bomb and came out and was like, he tried to pump the brakes. And it's like, but Trump has done all that he's done. And we just keep pointing to it. And we want to see him held accountable. I don't know about you guys, but I just really want to see this dude held accountable. I want to see, because if he's not, the way I look at it, if Donald Trump slips by, even if he loses and still somehow manages to slip by and dodge any and all accountability, then what's the purpose in someone taking the oath? I'll be honest with you. Every time I've ever watched an inauguration and the president's sworn in, I always go, "Woo, you're taking an oath here, pal. You're making a promise." Well, what's going to be the point if we know that the president has no guardrails and can do whatever they want to do? then what's the point in ever taking that oath? So yeah, I think we hold him accountable by going to vote for sure. And we just really have to bring Kamala that win she needs, and it needs to be a convincing one. I really believe that's the way to do it. Is just absolutely make it so convincing, and go ahead, let MAGA squirm, let them cry conspiracy theory, let them say it was rigged. They're going to anyway. It wouldn't matter. It ain't going to matter at all. Just saw this comment. If I can catch it for that, they're going by pretty quick. But yes, I'm going to bring this up here. If I can find it back. Where did it go? Yeah, please push Gloria Johnson in Tennessee. We have to. That's the thing, folks. No matter where you're at, if you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, then you have to give her a team to work with. You saw all the bogus impeachments and all the crap they've came at Joe Biden with. They're not going to have Hunter Biden's laptop to throw around anymore. They're not going to have Hunter Biden. They're going to have to come up with a new boogeyman for Kamala. But maybe it'll be, Tim Walz and his whole, all of his scandals. I get so cracked up. I saw a meme the other day said Tim Walz said that he had to go, time to head out. And then he stood in the driveway for another 2 hours talking. Which is it, Tim? Are you coming or are you going? It's like, it'll be hard telling, but we have to give them people to play. We have to give her a team to work with. And Gloria here in Tennessee is someone we need so desperately in the Senate. We have got to get Marsha Blackburn out of there and have a voice of reason, someone that'll be working for us. That's the kind of voice we want. And that's the kind of voice you got to understand. Gloria Johnson winning this would be absolutely huge. And it would really send a message that, hey, because it's very lopsided here in Tennessee. And that would be a major, major turning point, I think, because she's been on my show before. And we've talked about how that there is a movement in Tennessee. There is people that are blue dots, and if we work hard enough, we might eventually be able to at least start kind of turning Tennessee just a little bit purple. That's probably down the line, but it would definitely be a good start if we had Gloria Johnson. So if you're here in Tennessee, be sure to help get Gloria over that finish line, because that's the kind of person we need working alongside Kamala Harris. And Gloria is a good, down-to-earth person. When you meet her in person, if you meet her one time, I remember the first time I interviewed her was live in the studio, face-to-face, and I was super nervous. And all my friends told me, said, don't be nervous. She's just like one of us. One of my friends was like, hey, if you've ever been to a show and talked to people in the Knoxville music scene, that's just what it's like. And sure enough, it was. The minute we sat down, like 2 minutes into the conversation, she had me realizing that, hey, she's just one of us. And so she's came out to my shows since then, and then I've went out when she was speaking and bumped into her. And every time I've ever talked with her, had her here on the show a few weeks ago. Every time we talk, we always have a great conversation, and that's the kind of voice we need here in Tennessee. But tell you what, we got a few more minutes to go. Before we go, if anyone has any questions, I'll try to grab them before we go. And do want to remind everybody that I will be going live again. Members only this Sunday. We'll be doing some music Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Tuesday, 12 p.m. noon Eastern time, we'll be going live again. I'll be going to the studio a little bit later that day, so I'll be able to. I've been working on some new music, and it's been really good to get back and recording and writing again. And the songs that I've been working on lately are non-political tunes. Well, one of them kind of is. There's no way that I could make an album that wouldn't hint at it a little bit. I definitely I just wrote a song about Greg Locke here in Tennessee, the crazy ass preacher we got. I wrote a song about him, so I guess I did get a little bit political, but I have been working on some new tunes, and so before I head out for the studio, I'll probably only be able to go live for about 30 minutes on Tuesday because I got to hit the road and go to the studio. But if you tune in at noon Eastern time here on the channel, I'll be back. And shout out to Sister Soul, just become a new member. Really appreciate you guys, really do. And if anyone, like I said, if anyone has a question and I got time to grab it before we go, I'll be glad to. Thank you guys so much for being with us I did see someone ask about the GoFundMe. I haven't heard any more about that. We were talking the other day here on the channel about how we were afraid it was going to be one of Better Call Saul's, let's raise money for Walter kind of moments, which is just so. I mean, did you ever think we would be here? Yeah, I will definitely. Someone said, "Will we hear some new music on Sunday?" Yeah, for sure. I'll play you a couple of the tunes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. And I just kind of started. It was one of those things where I went into the studio to record some of the political tunes that I'd written. We got around to recording, You Might Be in a Cult and Bleach Blonde, Bad Built, Butch Body, and Shady Vance and Vod Shits and Pants. We recorded those. He ain't from here. But I'm the kind of person that when I go into a studio and I've got the drums set up and we got the band in the studio, it's like I want to do more than just, I don't really want to go to the studio and just set up and play one or two songs. It's like, let's go in there with 4 or 5 songs in a day's time, So that's what me and Brian's been doing. We've just been going in there and knocking them out. And so we did lay down 4 political tunes, which probably won't be on the album, but I've got, I think 6 is what I've got that are non-political. 6 tunes, I think, is where we're at. Let me look and see. Yeah, we've laid down 6 so far, and tomorrow or Tuesday we're going to go in and lay down some more. And one of them that I done, some of you may know this song. One of them that I did was called Tina at the Teardrop Inn. It's the only cover tune on the album so far. I love that tune, and I was like, I want to do my own version of it. So we kind of did more of a rocking kind of drive-by truckers thing. Let me grab this real quick. Right here, if you want to support Gloria Johnson, you can go to, thanks, Jess, for that. You can go to votegloriajohnson.com if you'd like to contribute to her campaign, help get her over the finish line. Also, thank you to the Hotbox Poet for donating to my cough medicine fund. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Thanks to Sister Soul for gifting a membership. Really appreciate everybody. It's been a great show. We always have a good time. But yeah, if you want to donate, I donated to Gloria's campaign, and I encourage anyone here to be sure to donate. Someone said they were an hour late, so you're coming in right at the tail end of the show. But that's okay because we'll be back here Tuesday at noon. So you guys tune in Tuesday at noon Eastern. We'll be back. But yeah, again, I really appreciate you guys being here. It's been a great show. Thank you to Sharon for the tip. We always have a good time here. We really do. It's always good. Hey, we did watch the Obama speech. My mom watched it again today, so I kind of caught it again for the second time. It was great. So awesome. Yeah, Obama, I was telling my mom, I was like, when you hear Obama speak, what goes through my head is like, dang, that's kind of what it would have been like if Kennedy had lived. You sometimes wonder just how revered he would have been. Well, he was revered anyway, but can you imagine if he'd have lived and could have been around at future DNCs to talk? I think the world would be a completely different place today if Kennedy had lived. So yeah, thanks. Someone said, hope you're feeling better. I am feeling a whole lot better, way better than I did. And hopefully my voice will hold out on Members Only Sunday and we can get through some singing. If not, I'll just revert back to storytelling. But yeah, the part someone just said his diaper bit was the best. Yeah, when he got to that part and said I've started to say it, I was like, you know what, dude, just go ahead and say it. It's not like you're not going to lose us. But Obama is always he's always too kind. He truly is. Yeah, someone said, I wish George Carlin was still here. Me too. I sometimes I think about people like Carlin and Bill Hicks and a lot of the comedians that I looked up to, and I imagine, and even people that weren't necessarily comedians, but people like Hunter S. Thompson. Can you imagine if those guys was around today to have a podcast or a YouTube channel, how entertaining it would be? That would be something. I personally would love a Hunter S. Thompson podcast. Oh, you probably couldn't understand a word he said. But, the funny thing is, I fall down into a well from time to time reading Hunter Thompson. And then I'll start watching documentaries, watching all interviews with him. And the next thing you know, I'm talking like this and I'm mumbling. And no one can really understand what I'm saying because I think he was one of those guys. You kind of had to lean in when he was talking. And yeah, if you ever get a chance to go on there and watch where he's talking with Keith Richards. If you ever get a chance, I'll quit. But if you ever get a chance to watch the interview with Hunter S. Thompson and Keith Richards, I think it's on YouTube. You can't understand a word. Like Hunter S. Thompson's like, they're talking like this right here, and Keith Richards is like, and it's almost like two Muppets. But it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I love Keith Richards. He's one of my favorite guitar players, and Hunter Thompson's one of my biggest heroes. So I'm not making fun of him. But that video of them two is absolutely gold. And I can't imagine what a podcast would be from them. Yeah, I always thought Carlin was a philosopher. He definitely was. And I can't imagine the material he would have today. Man, he really would. I feel that too. That he's the closest we have to him is someone like a Jon Stewart. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here. Someone just said we need Trump's health records. I agree with that. I absolutely agree. Of course, he'll never let that happen. He'll never let that cat out of the bag. But man, for sure. Robin Williams is another one that I'm sure would be having a field day. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. We got about 4 more minutes. If someone out there has a question, I can grab before I go. Yeah, that someone said, was it like how Beavis and Butthead communicated? That is exactly that's a great point. But yeah, look that up. Hunter S. Thompson and Keith Richards. It's hilarious. But I would have loved to have been just to sit in the middle of that and pick those two brains. I would have loved it. And every now and then I dust off one of my Hunter Thompson books and read it just so I can get back in the flow of how he talked. I really believe that his books had some of my, especially Hell's Angels and Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail. I've got a whole shelf of them over there, but they just the way the words bounced off the paper was really good. Someone wants to know. This is a great question. Someone wants to know, how do you hold on to hope in times of anxiety? It's rough. It really is. But I think the main way that I do is I just keep telling myself that we're on the right side of history no matter what. It's like, win, lose, or draw, we were on the right side of history. I really believe that. And I don't really, do I know what's coming? Can I make predictions? Not really. But I know that no matter what happens, we were on the right side of history. We were the ones that was trying to be a voice and stand up and save democracy. So, when the anxiety starts to kind of get the better of me, I just say to myself, Trump ain't backing down. MAGA's not backing down, so we can't either. And someone just made a great comment here. I'm going to grab this. It's just a comment that came up. We're each other's therapist. You're absolutely right, Lynn. We really are. And if you want me to be honest with you, this YouTube channel is my therapy. It really is, because I sit down in front of you guys and I just vent. That's really all I'm doing. That's why that it's so mind-boggling to me that I got 300,000 subscribers. It's 300,000 people watching a guy vent. But maybe that's what it is that you guys see, and you say, well, and you vent back, and so yeah, we just vent together and get through it. And I noticed someone just said they always feel better after this chat. I do too. Like when I log on, I'm sitting here reading the comments before, and I enjoy that almost more than I do the show. I just enjoy sitting the anticipation, It's kind of like when you're sitting waiting on the Mexican food. You got the chips in front of you, and the salsa, and your favorite plate's coming. But yeah, you guys are my therapy. And someone said, do I have any desire to visit Australia? I have a desire to visit everywhere because I've not been a whole lot of places. So yeah, I'd love to come to Australia. I've never been out of the country yet. That's something I've not done. So hopefully one day I'll make it out. Someone asked if I like tubes or transistors better. Tubes. Yeah, like I said, someone said going to need us on election night. I'm going to be a ball of nerves, but if they call it early for Kamala, I'll be here jumping up and down. I won't be able to contain myself, to be honest. And I'll probably I'll be honest with you, I sometimes think about, what's it going to be like when she wins and how are we going to react? And I can see myself spending a whole lot of time just laughing in relief, just like finally. But I could also see myself just having a really good hard cry and beating my head against the wall. It's just like, because it's just been, like someone said earlier, it's just been so tiresome. It just truly has. It's been such a tiresome thing that I imagine that night that I will laugh, I'll cry, and I'll get mad. And, even though she won, I'll still be pissed that we were even in. It's like, you put us in this position, you son of a bitch. Even if he gets blown completely out of the water, I'll still be mad at him. You know what I mean? Even if he just gets complete landslide, I still would still be angry that he put us through the whole mess. It's just that ridiculous that he's even still here. In one of the videos I did today, I was like, it's like, I can't believe he was in the main event 3 times. It's absolutely ridiculous. But true. Somebody said Trump is not worth a traumatic brain injury. You're right. He's not. I got to keep my head on my shoulders so we can keep doing this and we can pick up the pieces. Somebody said the Georgia votes have to be hand counted. I haven't heard about that yet. Said it would take it forever. It would. We may not have the answer. That's the thing I really worry about. We probably won't have the answer on election night, but hopefully eventually. I just hope it's a good blowout so it's over pretty quick. Someone said I must speak on TV. Maybe one of these days I will. I have talked to some people, but I've not been on TV yet. So, yeah. You know what's funny? Someone said I cried tears of joy when Biden won. I didn't right away because I was in such shock. I was like, oh, shit. Like he and I was really thinking in the back of my mind that Trump would pull it back away. I was thinking there would be – I didn't really have a moment of like relief until I saw Biden sworn in. And then I was like, we made it. I just kept thinking something terrible was going to happen. And then January 6th happened. And I was just thinking, man, this is, so I don't think I really celebrated or cried or did anything right at the start. I was just in shock. And then it just spiraled after that. And here we are. But I'm very thankful that he won too. And someone just said that I'm on their TV, so I'll take it. That's awesome. Will you continue this channel if he wins? Yeah, as long as it's still here. As long as it's still up, I'll be shouting it out till as long as I have a platform. I'll be sitting here calling it out. Win or lose, I'm not quitting. This is what I do now, and like I said so many times, it's the hill I've been willing to die on. And we're definitely going to have to dig in if he was to be reelected and fight even harder. So, yeah, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. As long as I'm still around and in good enough health to sit up straight and talk to you, I will be. And I've joked before that if something happens to my voice and I can't talk, I'll just type my stuff and send it over to Midas and they can post it that way. There's no way that I would stop. Someone said, do I think another January 6th might happen? To be honest with you, I don't know necessarily if a January 6th would happen, but I just fear election day itself. I fear the chaos that he would try to create on the day of it because he's been telling people, guard your vote, watch your vote, and all this stuff. And so I'm just worried about the potential chaos we could have on election day. And I hope that doesn't happen. I really hope that doesn't happen. But yeah. Someone just asked if we've read Project 2025. Yeah, and you're right. It is scary. Yeah, he definitely has the Supreme Court in his pocket. That's what worries me. That really does. That worries me. So, but we gotta stay hopeful, and we gotta, like I said, we gotta give Kamala the blowout that she needs. I see so many people saying we're not going back, we're not backing down, and that's the truth. We can't. And someone just said exactly what I've been saying. Karen here just said exactly what I've been saying for so long. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Bobo, MAGA will still be around, and all the Trump shenanigans around the courts will be never ending. So, yeah, we'll have plenty to talk about after it's all over. They're not going nowhere. And I've said so many times, we'll be kicking that can down the road with Project 2025. When we do, we're going to have to end up. Yeah, and my good friend, the Vol Queen, just sent me this. So yeah, the Georgia Election Board has passed a rule requiring the hand count of ballots. So yeah, that's definitely it's stuff like that I worry about the most. Just trying to muddy the water as much as possible. But yeah, we have a great time here on the show, and I want to thank you guys so much. So we'll go ahead on that note and we'll wrap her up. But I really appreciate you guys being here. So if you missed it, I'll say it one more time before we go. This Sunday on Members Only, if you have a membership here on the YouTube channel, I'll be going live at 7 o'clock with some music. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if my voice holds up. And then Tuesday, I'll be back here live at noon. We're going to try some daytime shows and see how they go. And if all goes well, next Friday, I'll be going live over on Patreon and playing some cover tunes. So also, I'm working on some guests that I think you guys are going to be really excited when I can finally say out loud that I'm going to have them on the show. I'll just say that, yes, it is some of the people you've name dropped in the comments. And hopefully we'll be able to get them on soon. So you guys have a great rest of your Friday night and have a great weekend. And I will see you members on Sunday. And I will see you guys at noon on Tuesday Eastern time. Take care of yourself and have a good night.